What is Bond Optimizer?
Hey, thank you for that great question. Bond Optimizer is a refinance program where we take all your debt and incorporate it into your bond, which makes logical sense because you pay the least amount of money, period.
Is Bond Optimizer debt review?
No, certainly not. Bond Optimizer is definitely not debt review. Actually, a Bond Optimizer, we work to get people out of debt review because debt review is very expensive. It takes a long time to get out of it, and you carry on paying and paying and paying, which is very frustrating, and you can never get credit anywhere else. So that's a problem with debt review.
How do I qualify?
For Bond Optimizer?
Yes.
You have to own your own property. That's a start. You have to have a full-time job as well. So those are the two main criteria, and there has to be equity in your property, which means you couldn't have bought a property yesterday and come to us and need help because there wouldn't have been enough time for you to pay a certain amount of the bond off. Anyone who's got a house they've had for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, we can definitely help them.
How does this program work? How long does it take?
So how the program works, we basically again settle all your existing debt that you have with other creditors. So it could be debt with African Bank or Capitec or any other creditor. And we take all that debt and incorporate it into the bond. As I've said to you, the reason we do this is because the interest rate's the lowest. It's the lowest in South Africa to have your debt in your bond.
Okay.
And because it's the lower interest rate, you pay far less every month. So that's what we do. We refinance the debt into the bond. We improve your credit score because obviously your credit score would improve over a given time. So that can take anything between 8 months to 15 months with us.
Why do you need to own a property to qualify?
That's another good question. Fundamentally, we are lending you 600,000, 500,000, and we use the property as security on the amount of money that we've given you.
Why do you need to be a full-time employed to qualify?
Again, because we are giving so much money out to help the people, we need to make sure that the people can afford to pay their bond off every month. We don't want to have any situation where a person struggles to pay their bond and we might have to do something like repossessing a house. So if a person is fully employed, there's a better chance of them continuing to pay their bond off.
How do I apply?
You can apply for Bond Optimizer through online. You'll find us online, www.bondoptimizer.co.za. I think that's probably where people are finding us right now on social media.
Are you affiliated to any bank?
No, we're not affiliated to any bank. What happens when the credit score improves for the individual that we're helping? We get the best rates for that individual we ask all the banks for the best rate. So we're not affiliated to any single bank.
I'm currently under debt review. Can you help me?
As I said, yes, definitely we can help you. Again, it depends if you own your own property, have you got a steady job, is there enough equity in the property? But yes, we can help you, definitely.
What do you mean you use my equity in my property to settle debt?
Okay, so that's a really good question because a lot of people don't understand what equity means in a property. So let's pretend you own a property and the property's value is worth R1 million.
Okay.
But you've had the property for 15 years. And when you bought the property, you only paid 300,000 for it 15 years ago. And now the value is R1 million. So what is R1 million minus 300,000? Is 700,000.
Yes.
So you would have 700,000 Rand available in your bond to use for other things. Okay, if your own bank allowed you to use it. But again, many of the banks today in South Africa don't allow people to have access to the equity in their bonds because their credit scores aren't good enough. So what we do is we use that equity, that 700,000 that's available in your property, to settle the expensive debt, which makes it far less expensive for you.
Can I include my spouse on the program as well?
Yes, you can. So if your spouse has debt, we can get rid of the spouse's debt as well. It makes sense.
Is Bond Optimizer a scam?
No, definitely not. I think if you look at the 400, 500, 600 people that we've helped in the last 2 years, you'll definitely find out, no, it's not a scam.
If I can't pay, will Bond Optimizer repossess my property?
I think fundamentally Bond Optimizer works just like a traditional bank in that sense. If you cannot pay your own bank where your bond is, they're not just going to say to you, hey, stay there for free for the rest of your life. You know, don't worry paying us. So we've never had to repossess anybody's house and sell it. But if the worst came to worst, we'd have to do it. But we haven't had that experience.
Won't I get into more debt as I need to move my loan to Bond Optimizer and pay a transfer cost?
Yes, so there is, that's a good question. So there is transfer costs and bond cancellation costs if you have an existing bond. Because if you don't have an existing bond, obviously there wouldn't be a cancellation fee. But when you look at the monthly savings for our clients, which average between 5,000 to 7,000 Rand a month in savings, and you look at the settlement discounts, and in some instances we have had settlement discounts of over 100,000 Rand. It makes financial sense to move your debt into the bond because you're saving every month, the settlement discounts can cover all the costs, and the most important thing is that you're living stress-free. That's vitally important.
How do you make me debt-free if there is still a bond which is debt itself?
Yeah, the difference between the interest rates in your bond and the interest rates you pay in creditors is quite massive. So you're not going to be debt-free because all the debt is in the bond. But fundamentally, when you look over time, your property will always increase in value. So if you have a property today with all the debt included, that is worth 500,000, in 5 years' time the house will be worth maybe 700,000 or 800,000. Correct?
Yes.
Because properties grow in value.
Yeah.
And you're paying less every month. So when you look that you're paying less every month, which means that you have more disposable income for you and your family to spend, instead of making the creditors rich. Actually, you're enriching yourself and your property is growing in value at the same time, which makes financial sense.
My house is paid up. Can you help me?
Yes, definitely. When the house is paid up, we've helped many people register a new bond and have access to money. So we can help you definitely. Again, you'd have to have the same criteria. You have to have a steady job, and of course there'll be equity in the property because you don't owe anything on it. But yes, we can help you.
Besides the settlement of loan, credit cards and retail accounts, what else can you settle?
Well, firstly, remember we spoke about that Bond Optimizer gets people out of debt review.
Yes.
We also sort out judgments if people have judgments. Then we also help people pay university fees, school fees, renovations on the house, a multitude of other things, even helping their parents financially.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What is advance? Why do I need it?
So what we found over the many years that we've been doing this is a lot of the people are not financially literate. So there's, for example, why would you take a high interest loan instead of taking money from your bond? Because it has never been explained to people. So that's why they get into the debt trap, but they've got all the equity in the bond. And then when they go to the bank and say, listen, I owe all this debt, can my own bank help me? Your own bank says to you, sorry, we can't help you because your credit score is not good enough. But come back to us when your credit score improves. But how's someone's credit score going to improve if they don't have access to money to pay off the existing debt? So it becomes a vicious circle that people never get out of. So the advanced program basically teaches people how to use their money correctly.
Okay.
How to have good debt instead of bad debt, and many other aspects of life. I mean, you know, when some of the programs on the advanced are talking about health, for example, diabetes, cholesterol issues, many different things. So the other thing, besides people learning new skills, they also get paid up to 1,500 Rand every month by completing every month's module, which is quite nice.
It is. How long is the program, and when we switch clients back to a mainstream bank?
So the Bond Optimizer program can take anything between 8 months to 15 months, depending how quickly we can improve the individual's credit score. With the settlements we do pretty quickly. So I mean, it's as quick as we can get the best settlements we settle, which can be within 30 days. But it takes a bit of time to improve the credit score. But once the credit score is improved sufficiently, we can move you to a normal bank where the interest is even less and you actually pay even less, which is better for you.
What are the monthly installments?
The monthly installments depend on the amount that is owed. Very simple. I mean, if you have an outstanding debt of 300,000 or you have an outstanding debt of 800,000, the installment is always going to be different. So there's no one fixed installment. The installment depends on the amount of debt that you have.